Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast, a place to discuss pain, passion, and pursuits.
Let's get it. I want to feel alive.
Breathe.
Make some moves.
Protect the throne. This is Sexy Freedom Media Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. It's your host, Helen Edwards, and
January Liddell. Aloha.
Woo, what a year. What a year. So this is our last episode of the year, and some of the things we want to talk about today is basically the reflection on 2022 and saying goodbye. So goodbye 2022 and hello 2023. But before we do, I want to make the announcement that going forward in 2023, we'd love for you to support us by sharing this podcast. Please subscribe now if you haven't, and you can always buy us a coffee. We appreciate your support anyhow, and give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, and we appreciate it so much. So click the link for more options for events and programs and all of our podcasts that we have coming up, and you'll find both me and January's link in there. All right, so let's get started. January, how was your reflection on 2022 so far?
So I'm glad that we're talking about this because we have just a few more days until the new year. So it's always good to reflect and kind of do our pros and cons for what has happened for 2022. And above all, I have to say that everything that I've experienced this past year obviously has been a lesson to learn. And that's really how I take any year, right? Like whether it's a good year or a bad year. And I know that 2022 for a lot of us has been really challenging, whether it be, the passing away of our loved ones, or, the stock market went really down. And so a lot of people lost a lot of money. So that's another downfall, or whether, I know a lot of us took trips, so for me, 2022 has been a roller coaster. Let me just say, it has been a roller coaster. There were highs, there were lows. And, like I said earlier, I'm so glad and so thankful for all the lessons that I've learned thus far. One of the things that I learned, Helen, is that I have to let go. So that's like the one thing that out of everything that I've experienced in 2022, letting go is probably the main concept for me, is letting go. What about for you?
I think 2022 was like you said, a roller coaster. But like I mentioned in my last podcast, the roller coaster is nothing new. It happens every year for everybody. It's seasons, right? Seasons change. So what I realized this year is more grounding myself and focusing on the clarity of what I truly want for that day, for that week, for that month, even just for that hour. I feel like in the past, I've been so scatterbrained. I've had so many achievements and wear so many different hats that I've come to a part of my life where I feel clear on what I need to do going forward in this next chapter of this next chapter year, 2023. And you can repeat over and over and over all of these great ideas and positive notes and motivational and inspirational phrases, but how is it affecting your life directly this day and producing more results abundantly for you? And that's one thing I've really learned this year is, okay, like see it on a paper, see the vision. Seasons are going to happen. What are you going to do in each season? How are you going to prepare for the storms? What are you going to do when the storms aren't there, when it's a sunny day and the flowers are blooming. What are you going to do? Like the action steps. And that was really big for me because I want more for myself. I want better for myself. I want to be a better person. I want to get to that next level. So what's next? That was big for me this year.
So yeah, it kind of aligns with what you were saying in terms of how are you going to handle like the storms in life and the seasons changing. The whole idea, my concept of letting go, because I wanted to expand a little bit more of that. The idea of letting go for me just meant a lot of like letting go of expectations, letting go of my comparison, because I do compare myself. I compare myself, to how certain people have succeeded and where they are in life, and why am I not at this point, like I should be already. And so letting go of that, right? So letting go of expectations, comparison, letting go of the thoughts that sometimes, like, our thoughts, right, can either help you or hurt you. And so the thoughts that hurt me are the thoughts that I'm letting go. So that is definitely the number 3 in terms of letting go, and the lessons that I've learned. The other thing about letting go for me is like really letting go, like letting loose and just like being free to be me. And that is the one thing that I've learned throughout this whole year, is that I have to let go of my old past, let go of my old self, and be free to be me, and unapologetically me. So I'm still learning that. Okay. So that's still something that I'm striving towards. And the reason being is that I am a people pleaser. So I was raised that way. I was born that way. I think I'm kind of genetically just, it's in me to be a people pleaser. And this past year, I am learning or relearning it's okay to just be me. It's okay to have my own choices. It's okay to have my own opinions. It's okay if people don't accept it. It's okay. I'm letting go of that, and I'm letting go of the idea that I have to be this perfect person for anybody. So that's what I learned. And then moving forward, Helen, in terms of what our goals are, right? I don't know if you still want to talk about 2022, but I love that for me, I love everything that has happened, all the good, all the bad, everything in between. I love it because they were there to help me grow and help me learn. So I'm thankful for 2022.
I like that you're so vulnerable. And from meeting you, what was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years now? I can't remember. But what I do know is I've seen you grow. I've seen you open up more. And I can tell that you are growing. You are shining brighter. And you just talking about being a people pleaser. There's so many of us that can relate to that. I mean, nobody's perfect by far, and we all have a little tad of people pleasing in all of us. Even all of the people who are successful and talk about you don't need a people please, they are people pleasing in some form or way. I mean, it's part of sales, really. So I just want to say bravo, January. You're amazing. I do want to reflect on one other big thing of 2022, and this is actually just about our podcast. I wanted to state the podcast titles that we've done this past year for anybody. Have them here. So in January, we did Wisdom on Resiliency with PJ. And that is honestly one of our highest amount of downloads for this podcast. So it was really good podcast. Did you do that one with PJ?
I think so. Or were you there? Gosh, we've done a lot of podcasts, but yes.
I think it was you. I want to say, let's see. Oh, shoot. Usually I write it in here. Okay, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was you. Because then I ended up doing the second one, which was the second one I did this year was a 3-part series of grief. So it was called Opening Up About Grief and Loss. And I did those in February and March. And then the end of March, we did Feminine Energy and International Women's Month. April, we did the upgrade with Dr. Luann Brizadine. Ooh, that was a really awesome one, right? Wasn't it?
That was fun.
June, we did Getting Out of Complacency. The end of June, June 24th, we did Choosing the Climb Despite the Struggle. June 28th, we did Acceptance, Spirituality, and Self-Growth with Sherette Miller. I think I did that one.
You did that one. Yeah, that was a really good one, by the way. I love that one.
Yes. Let's see. August, we did Healing Within 10-part miniseries. Oh, okay. I did a Healing Within 10-part miniseries, and they were about 3 to 5 minutes each one. I did 10 of them. So that was August through, oh my gosh, August through August. It was August through August. It was the whole month of August. They just came out, but they are one of our highest downloads as well because they're so short and they're so good. So if you want a little mini snack, go and check those out. We've got September. We've got Back to Square One. Listen to this. That was one of my favorite podcasts this year.
Yeah. Gosh, Helen, we've done so many podcasts, but they're all my favorite. I can't say I have like, because we just have so much fun when we have our podcast.
Yeah. We also did Benefits of Paying It Forward and Tools to Alleviate Stress and Owning Your Now, all in September. In October, we did How to Make It Through Some Dark Times. I remember that one. In October, we also did Let's Talk About It, the 4 Agreements. That's also one of our biggest downloads for our listeners. We did Authentically Taking Back Your Light. Oh, that was a really nice one. That was with Heather Robinson.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. End of October, we did Healing and Growing Through Hard Times in Marriage. Actually, you did that. That was one of your solo casts. And that was a really good one for anybody out there in a marriage, going through hard times. January opened up so bravely and was such a beautiful podcast. I loved listening to it, January.
Thanks, Helen.
November, we did Stop Benching the Best Parts of You in This Game of Life. I think that was one of my solo casts. We also did If It's to Be, It's Up to Me, 10 Things You Can Do Today to Level Up. That was a really fun one.
I think we kept going on and on with that one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's more than 10 in there. Let's see. November, Women's Radical Pursuits with Amy Schweim. That was a really good one I did with her. And that was one of our also highest downloads. December, How to Successfully Get Through a 30-Day Challenge. That was a solo cast I did. And December 2nd, Why Random Acts of Kindness Can Benefit You and Your Community. That was a really fun one also. Let's see. Lessons Learned While Being Sick with January. January was sick. She did a solo cast. She pushed forward. That was awesome. Let's see. December, the Perseverance Mindset. And our last 2 that we did together was Tips to Feel Sexy and Confident, Part 1 and Part 2. So we did 2 of those. And the second one actually is our highest to date downloads. Tips to Feel Sexy and Confident, Part 2. And then our last one that we did, or last one I did, was Reflecting on Lessons and Discovering New Goals. January, we've had one hell of a year podcasting.
So much fun. I have so many different topics that are, still, I feel like we still can talk about it because there's still yet to say, still more to say. So I'm wow. I'm impressed how far we've gone, Helen, and how much fun that we've had all year, just talking and sharing and, listening to our guests. I'm excited for more guests. So I hope next year, right? We're going to be planning for next year. I think we still have a couple more days, couple more today and tomorrow, right? So if we do want to put out another one, just a little bit more, just to wrap it up. But honestly, like the last 2 that we talked about, how to be sexy and confident, I think that's actually one of my favorites because it really correlates everything that we're doing, as human beings, as women, that I feel like that podcast is like, oh, There should be a part 3.
We can make that happen. The cool thing about having this podcast and getting to speak and exercise our vocal cords, exercise our power of voice, is that we're heard, and we get to inspire all of our listeners out there. And we've opened up and we share our lives. I mean, me and January are sharing our lives on this platform, and we've got thousands of listeners who know about our lives now. And it takes a lot of courage and boldness to step into roles like this. And that's something I really want to express to a lot of our listeners. Any podcaster out there, big ups to them. There is a lot of courage and a lot of work behind podcasting. If you've been doing it for so long and you're a serial podcaster, like I like to say we are, it is one of our professions, So yeah, what a year.
Yeah. So for me, it was definitely getting out of my comfort zone. And I know I shared this before, but I'm going to share again, is that I really did not want to be live and be in front of the camera. I'm used to being behind the camera. I don't know if I told you, Helen, or if I've mentioned this before, but I used to have a video business. So I had a video business, and I videotaped weddings and birthdays, graduations. So I'm always behind the camera. So to be in front of the camera and to actually share my thoughts was a little daunting for me. But I realized that being an effective communicator, I have to actually step out and talk and share my thoughts. And whether or not people will agree to it, it's okay. I think before I used to really be mindful. I'm still mindful of what I say, but there are moments now that I'm like, well, this is how I feel, so this is what I'm going to say. And it doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. It's okay. I hope that you respect where I'm coming from, is what I'd like to, to envision. However, we have listeners out there, that I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for the listeners, because they are there to help us grow as well. So all the feedback that we get from you, thank you so much. It really helps. I do welcome our audience and our listeners to be a little bit more interactive with us and ask us more questions. I would love to hear your thoughts and to hear your stories. And, for me, one of the main reasons for me doing this podcast and us being consistent with this podcast, Helen, is that 1, it does help me grow as a person. 2, it helped me communicate better. 3, I learned so much from you, Helen. You are an amazing speaker and a phenomenal coach, and that's why I come here. I come on here because I learned from you as well. So I'm thankful for that. And number 4, we get to bounce ideas off each other, bounce stories off each other, and it's like this dynamic relationship that we have. And so I'm so thankful for this podcast and that we were able to do all those many stories for a year. I am so excited what 2023 is going to bring for us and how many more podcasts we'll be doing.
Yeah, speaking of 2023, goodbye 2022, hello 2023. Oh my God, I'm actually really excited about 2023 because, like I said, reflecting on 2022 and what I've learned and what lessons have been coming to me and the clarity I've been gaining, I'm excited about 2023 because I have more clarity on where I want to go with my focus, with my goals, and what I need to do to get there. I've been writing down things since November. I started in November. I started my 2023 goals in November. and I realized, okay, I can set this roadmap for myself. What can I do differently that I never did in the past to get different results that I want in the future? And one of those is with the podcast. We talked about it. To all of our listeners out there, like January said, yes, please start being more interactive with us. It really helps us grow and it helps boost our podcast. So if you love this show, get on board and help support us in that way. But we want to take this podcast in a new direction for 2023. And one of the subjects we are going to speak more on is financial freedom, financial health, building wealth, and everything surrounding abundance, prosperity, and money.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually share. That's actually one podcast I will do today as well, as I will be talking about finances. So just like you, Helen, for 2023, I'm super excited for 2023. I think this year, it's a lot different than what I had planned for last year or this past year. Usually in January, I'm like, "Ooh, I want to lose weight," and I want to get back to working out. And while that is a great goal, and I've actually still been doing that goal, so I'm so proud of myself. I think that's going to be a lifelong thing. So I actually have not put that on my list because I know that's something that it's a lifestyle for me. So I will definitely be living that life, so it's not, to me, it's like, okay, the weight is like, meh, but I'm really, what I'm really excited about is, and I wrote down the things that I want to do. So here are just some things that I remember. One is reading a book a month. That's probably one of the goals that I want to accomplish. I have so many books. I buy all these books and I don't get to read all of them because I haven't intentionally said I'm going to read it. So I actually have a group of girls, ladies, that I'm being accountable to because I want to make sure that I fulfill that one book a month goal, right? So that's my number one. My number two is what was my number two? Oh, I have a brain fart, so I'm gonna let you do it. So what are your goals for this year?
That's so funny. You're talking about, working out and everything just being a lifestyle. I write down things. So I like to check things off a list. I'm a list person and I'm very analytical. So I have been working on calendars for different goals. And I've got, I'll just show you. I've got my goal folder. Oop, that's my little green screen. Okay, it might block me. I've got a goal folder here and I keep all my goals in there. I've got my monthly, the month here. And okay, so I'm like, and okay, so my top goals, I want to say my 3 top goals, okay, are 1, financial wealth. I want to build my multiple streams of income. So for example, the podcast is one of our streams of income. I want to amplify the little trickles of financial income coming in. I want to amplify those and expand on those in every part of my streams of income. So building wealth is my number 1 goal. And I want to say the second one is my overall health, physical health. So working out and everything. And it is a lifestyle for me, but I always print out 30-day and 60-day calendars just because I want to make sure I'm being consistent with it, especially yoga. So that is like a part of my goal. And I'm added something new. I'm taking some time off certain types of foods that I'm like obsessed with that are not healthy for me. I'm not like, oh, I'm cutting out sugar. I'm more like, okay, no cupcakes. Okay, no cupcakes for 30, 60 days, whatever, like none. So I try to take baby steps in that direction. So that's, one part of my health goal. And then I'll say my third top goal is continuing my language and continuing to study every day so I can become a fluent Apache and Spanish speaker.
Nice, Helen. I love that you're printing out the 30-day, your goals for like yoga and all that. I love that because then it's more intentional, right? And so I think that's one of the things for me for this year is that I do want to live each day intentionally. So every morning I wake up, I'm still doing my same routine. So that's something I still want to continue, read my Bible. I have a gratitude journal. So that was one of the things that I was going to do today was go grab my new gratitude journal. So I have a gratitude journal. I have a business journal. I have and of course my calendar. Those are like the three main tools for me, you know, to have a systematic type of life. And just like you, I'm a list person. And so my number 2 on my goal is my John Maxwell certification program. And do you know who John Maxwell is? So I love John Maxwell. He's probably one of my favorite speakers. I have several. Les Brown is another one. Rhonda Byrne. Is it Byrne? Rhonda. Anyway, Rhonda, right? Byrne. Yeah. So those are the three, my top 3. Tony Robbins. Oh my gosh, I can like list all of them. But John Maxwell. So I have actually invested into the program. Part of the reason why I invested is because, you know, personal development for me is key. It's who I am in business and personal relationships. And so for me to be an effective person, an effective woman, I do want to learn. I want to just feed myself all these things. So every day, 30 minutes a day, I'm going to be in my certification program. And, you know, I'm hoping this year, I'm not hoping because I'm not going to put that. I'm going to say I'm going to do it. So I am going to be a certified John Maxwell trainer. So that is my goal for this year. Okay. So that's number 2. My number 3 thing that I said I was going to do was, okay, I have to look at my list again. Hold on. Eat more plant-based, because we were talking about you minimizing sugar. Eat more plant-based. So I've already incorporated that, right? So now I just have to eat more. So I at least once or twice a week, I'm already plant-based, but I actually want to move more towards plant-based diet. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Blue Zones Project. That is my heart. I love the Blue Zones Project. It was actually founded by a photographer, National Geographic's photographer, and he went to all these different places around the world where centurions live, and he observed the different factors that allow a person to live a long life. And so he created the power of 9. So the power of 9, there are 5 that I remember. One is working in the land. So actually tilling the land, kind of, you know, planting, all that stuff, right? Or community service. Number 2, being in community. So actually having friends and, you know, being able to like socialize, that's important. Number 3, plant-based diet. Number 4, drinking wine. So red wine was healthy for the heart. And number 5 was natural movement. So there's 9 of them. I can't remember all of. Spirit. The other one is spiritual. So having, you know, being grounded in faith. So those are my top 3 things that I want to do is read a book. I am going to do the John Maxwell program 30 minutes a day and eat plant-based, much like yourself, you know, kind of minimizing certain things like no cupcakes.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that everything you were talking about, especially what you're talking about self-development. And we're definitely aligned in that area. I'm big on self-development, have been for decades. And you were talking about feeding your mind. That's, you know, part of achieving these goals is feeding your mind, feeding your body, feeding your spirit, and staying grounded, but also knowing when to soar and take off and fly and take those risks, right? I just started listening to Grant Cardone. Okay. I'd never listened to him before, but I've listened to tons of other speakers, and Tony Robbins is one of the big ones. I've mentioned this before. I've crewed a few of his events. And what I like is all of these motivational speakers or financial or business or entrepreneurial or just successful minds, they all talk about the same thing, just in different ways, different tones. So every now and then you can hear the same thing over again, and it just hits you different hearing it from somebody else, right? And so Grant Cardone, I listened to one of his podcasts for the first time, and I actually wrote down this list. I'm not going to name all of them, but I'm going to tell you the ones that really stood out to me. And he was talking about want to win in 2023. Surround yourself with winners. Get in a mastermind group. Feed your mind, consume books. Pick 1 or 2 people and get guidance, like a coach or mentor. and give more than is expected of you, exchange more, operate out of abundance and not lack. Do things that challenge you the most, make a list of things that challenge you. I really like that, make a list of the things that challenge you. Because he was saying, reach up, not sideways. Hang out with friends who reach up, and also make new friends or acquaintances who reach up. So he was talking about like connecting outside of your current group. Oh, I thought you had something.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I wanted to share something about that because
Okay.
in my business, in my line of work, I get to speak to a whole gamut of different people. And when I mean a whole gamut of people, I mean, because they obviously have to divulge their finances to me. So I speak to anybody that's, a low income to like extremely high income. And I learn a lot from the high income folks. And I learn a lot from them and how they invest and how they their thought process. I'm speaking to this one gentleman. I'm not going to say his name. But I'm speaking to this one gentleman. He's partnered with a high profile person. So I'm not going to say that name either. But what I love about this guy is that he's completely thinks outside of the box. So one of the things that he shared with me was that he wants to build generational wealth. So for me, right, my initial thought was, okay, I want to make sure my kids are good, right? But then of course I want to leave a legacy, and that legacy involves like my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, and all that. So for him, that's something that he was talking about. So one of the things that I'm going to share in my finance podcast is how to do that, how to build that generational wealth, what to do, and what's the best vehicle to use. So anyway, not only was he talking about generational wealth, but now he's talking about wanting to teach financial literacy to anyone. So he talked about somebody in McDonald's. Somebody in McDonald's should be able to invest a certain amount of money, but he wants all of the masses, particularly people of color, in order to be able to empower them and to teach and educate them, because there's obviously a lot of low income folks. He just wants to build up people of color. Okay, so that's his goal. And so what I love about what I do is that I'm able to kind of see like this bird's eye view of how people live their lives and how they save and how they invest. And it's true. Like, you should surround yourself. I love what Grant Cardone said. You should surround yourself with somebody that's going to uplift you, right? Not sideways, but upwards. That is completely it. This past year has been a life filled with abundance. I was talking to my husband about how, man, we've done so much. We've gone to like so many different concerts, comedy shows. We've traveled. Like, we have been blessed this whole entire year. Why? Because we do not have that lack of abundance, right? That's not even in, it was before. So I had to work through that. But I worked through it, and I did this class about relationship with money. And I love that class. Shout out to Tasha Chen. I would love to actually invite her on our show because she's amazing. So so what Grant Cardone said about being up, having friends in up places and having a coach, all important.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait till we get into 2023 and we start talking about these subjects of money, because I know that it's an emotional subject. It's an uncomfortable subject, especially if you still are very rooted and encompassed with the lack mindset. I know I've been there, and I've been able to get out of it numerous times, actually, because sometimes if you do not keep doing your work moving forward, you will slide backwards into the muck again. Just a few more I want to name here, though, that I thought were really good. Okay, where was I? So do the things that challenge you, right? Reach up, not sideways. So have a list of goals. And I mean, that's key. Write them down. And be the most dependable person that everyone knows, because that increases your confidence. It also increases others. They know that you're dependable. You do what you say you can do, or you do what you say you're going to do. And be willing to fail. I really like this one because it said the only way you really fail is if you quit. So everything else is not really failing, but, be willing to, I really like that. Go the extra mile and add 10%. So that was really big because I feel like that's something I've already been doing, but to hear it put in that way is like, oh my God, yes. No wonder I attract so many great and beautiful things back into my life, so much abundance, like you were talking about, because I am going that extra mile. And I was programmed that way. I'm going to connect something here that I'm thinking about, going back to what you were saying about people pleasing. My mom brought us up to go the extra mile. She would always say, go the extra mile, go the extra mile. It can often be looked at as people pleasing when you are in service to others. So it's really important that when you spend time and become consciously aware of what is people pleasing, because people pleasing doesn't feel good, versus what is being of service and going that extra mile, going that extra 10%. So I just had to call that out since it was on my mind.
Oh, I love that. Go the extra 10%. It kind of associates with working out as well, right? It's like one more rep, just one more, and so I agree with you. In that case, it really isn't people pleasing, it's so one of the things that my family likes to do during Christmas is do the angel tree, or this year we didn't do the angel tree because we weren't at church. We were actually traveling and we went to another church. And so anyway, it's called La Lima. La Lima, and it happens every Christmas season, and it's basically adopting a family, and it's really important for me to give. It's important to give because I feel like we've been blessed. I've been blessed, and I want to bless more actually. So for me, Helen, one of my things is that I want to make more money so I can give more money away. So that is actually where I'm coming from. And I'm going to lead into this book. It's called Built to Last. I haven't read it yet. I was introduced to it, and it's by Jim Collins, I believe. And one of the things that Jim Collins said is that we should have a BHAG, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. I think, yeah, audacious. So big, hairy, audacious goal, something that scares us, So like Martin Luther King, he had a dream, right? He had a dream, and then it's not about money. It was about like building people together, creating harmony with each other, that everyone would be created equal, right? That's a big, hairy, audacious goal. John F. Kennedy, again, it wasn't about money. He wanted the first man to walk on the moon, right? So that's another like big, hairy, audacious goal. So that's kind of one thing that I'm like, okay, what do I want to do this year? Helen, this year, and I'm going to say it out loud because I want to claim it, is that I want to pay off my house. So that is my big, hairy, audacious goal, is to pay off my house. So that is one thing that I'm striving for. Obviously, that paying off my house leads to another goal, because there's other goals that I have. Okay, so I'm going to share the biggest, hairiest, audacious goal that I have is creating this thing called the castle. So I want to create this castle, and I call it the castle because for me, Disney has been so magical for me, and the castle for me is something where women and children who have been abused, women and children who are in domestic violent relationships, they can go to the castle. And this is a place for them to find like sanctity and peace. And, I would love to have like courses in there, like lessons for them to like for life skills. So that's something that I'm striving towards. So my big, hairy, audacious goal for next year is paying off the house so that I can utilize the money for the castle. So that's like my bag, the big BHAG.
I love that. I've never heard of that. And thank you for sharing all of that. I mean, you're right. Grant Cardone talks about it. Tony Robbins talks about it. Mel Robbins talks about it. Just the more that you make, it amplifies who you are. And if you're a giving person, then you're going to give more. And I would, sometimes when I'd see people winning the lottery, I'd always wish somebody would win the lottery who has a foundation already, who is already out there helping somebody or creating these big nonprofits, because God, can you imagine what they could do with all that money, and it's just like each of us who want the money. They always say, write down your why. Why do you want the money? Because the why is going to fill you. And so I love that. I love the castle idea. I love paying off your house, and it can be done. It can be done. If you don't know who, oh gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Financial freedom. The speaker, the guy who has the show about paying off your houses. Oh my gosh, I took his course and I can't even remember his name. I'll circle back to that. Okay, let me name a few more. Okay, so we talked about go the extra mile, add 10%. Okay, also how to win in 2023. Meet new people, introduce yourself to people, get them comfortable, stay uncomfortable. You might forget people's names, but keep moving through uncomfortability, because that's the whole idea, is to introduce yourself and start getting that that feeling of uncomfortability out of your life into a comfortable feeling of introducing yourself. So work to your potential, not your quota. I really like that one. And cut out negative people. Negative people are contagious. Negativity kills dreams, motivation, and goals. This one's, it is a little bit challenging for people who are maybe in partnerships with negativity, or have people in their house that are negative, and you're trying to, change your life into a more positive one. Do whatever you can to set boundaries, because it's really important that that negativity does not come in and keep destroying what you're trying to build for yourself.
There, I love that, Helen, because yesterday, and let me see if I can find that quote. Yesterday I saw this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it was about how, like, the thoughts in our head. Hold on, let me try to get that, okay, here we go. There is nothing in this world that can trouble you as much as your own thoughts. And I love that quote, because you're right. We will have negative people in our lives. Sometimes there are family members, right? And it's okay, because that's just how they are, right? For me, when I have to change my thoughts from the negativity that's like kind of trying to infuse in me, right? I always try to tell myself, stay in my bubble, so I have this like image of me in this bubble. So it's vital to like take away that energy. I love that he said that, because that's important, because that can actually affect your business. That can affect, how you work. I know for me, Helen, this past year, I really wanted to dance every single day for 365 days. I can't believe I made that goal, but I wasn't able to fulfill it the whole 365 days. I did dance. I think it was like 100, almost like 150. So I danced like half of it, right? So I still did I lived up to my goals. I did. I was dancing every single day. And then life, right? Life happens. And so, yeah, so what was I going to say? Negativity. It's definitely important to cultivate and to nurture the things that you read, the things that you see, the things that you hear. What are you feeding yourself? And that's the one thing for me. I'm always telling myself this, like, okay, is this thing going to help me or hurt me? And if it's going to hurt me, then okay, goodbye, like, peace out. I don't want that in my life. So that is something that it's like a castle. I'm going back to the castle. A castle has like a moat, it has like this protective boundary, and you have to, just like what Helen says, protect your throne. So that is part of protecting your throne. Absolutely. I love Grant Cardone. What else did he say?
Well, actually, I just remembered who I was talking about earlier with the whole idea of paying off your house. And like I said, it can be done. His name is Dave Ramsey. Did you know who? Did you?
So I do know Dave Ramsey. That's so funny. I do know Dave Ramsey. I actually took a class. It's called, and it's here in Hawaii. It's 101 Financial, and they're actually going to help, itemize like how are we going to pay off our house, for the rest of the year. So, I know some people that have paid it off in like 3 years, 2 years, and that's pretty amazing. So, that is my goal. What are your goals? What are the rest of your goals, Helen?
Well, going back to building wealth, and you're talking about that big hairy goal. Wait, was it big hairy ass goal? What was it? What was it?
Sure. Big, hairy, audacious goal.
Oh, okay. I feel like now I'm gonna only remember big hairy ass goal if I keep saying it. Okay, stop, Helen. Big hairy audacious goal. Okay. So yes, I mentioned in my last podcast about millionaire status. I was like, okay, there are tons of people out there in their 20s becoming millionaires every day because they're doing online based businesses. And, it's one of the things that I've always been interested in, becoming a millionaire or trying to figure out how to get there. And it's not that, there's different ways to become a millionaire now that I've researched and I've learned about it, with your portfolio and your net worth, things like that. So I just thought to myself, I've achieved a lot in my life, but millionaire status is something I've never achieved. And it does seem like it's so big and it does seem like a dream. Why not put it in my, on my goal bucket? So that's, you're talking about this big dream of yours. Well, that's my big dream, is to become a millionaire status. And paying off the house is obviously like something really cool. I haven't thought about that, but I'm going to talk to my fiance and see if we can get on board with that, because I do love Dave Ramsey. And a part of my journey towards this millionaire status is, like you were talking about, January, feeding your mind daily, taking out 30 minutes a day. And that's actually a part of my goal list. That's part of my roadmap to the journey, is to every single day read something or feed myself something, whether it's YouTube videos, podcasts, books on financial wealth, and reprogramming my mind to change and shift my direction from all of these past goals I had onto my new goal, which is 100% focus on financial wealth building. And that doesn't mean these other goals are not a part of my life. Like you said, look at these other goals, like working out, health and fitness. Look at them like they're part of my lifestyle. It's like brushing my teeth every day. I don't want to think about it. I want it just to be a part of my life, like brushing my teeth. The bigger one, where I want all my energy focused on, is that building of wealth, because you're right, January. I want to be able to help more people. I want to be able to buy bigger things, such as, gifts for people, or give more to philanthropy, do more things like that. And I'm in that part of my life where I'm able to do that. Like, let's go. This is the green light. Let's make it happen.
Yes, exactly. Because I feel like, oh man, there's so many people to help out there, and I guess my heart, feels for them. And I just, if I could have all this wealth, right? Because I have everything I need. I have everything I want. But now it's like, all right, what do I want to leave behind? And that's like that building legacy, right? And I want my children to know that that's important. It's vital for my kids to see the importance of giving back and paying it forward. And that's really where my heart is paying it forward. So I'm gonna share a little something, and I'm probably gonna have to share this again in another podcast. But this is one thing that I do. I actually don't put my money in my checking account. So I don't do that. I actually have a line of credit. So that is how I actually pay off my bills and whatever is through the line of credit. So all our money gets deposited into the checking account, but then I transfer it right back into a line of credit. So all of my credit card bills, all that is all paid through the line of credit. And I love that because it kind of just keeps the money flowing. And I'll expand more like in another day. But for me, like that helps me one, increase my credit score. Two, I'm paying off like my credit cards, right? And it's being paid off through like the line of credit. Three, it's just leveraging. It's leveraging money in a whole new other way. So anyway, that's something that I'll talk about in another podcast. But as far as giving back, you know, definitely for 2023, make more money and give money to more people. So what is it? Make more money to help more people.
Yes. And I love the idea that you're going to talk because you're a financial advisor, right? Okay.
I'm a financial strategist.
Okay.
So I actually specialize in retirement.
So I can tell you light up. This is your expertise. This is the areas that you love to talk about. And I think with our podcast and you're talking about bringing on guests, I'm going to be really excited to bring on different types of guests who have different ways of strategizing with their money and to explain financial terms, get us all out of the dark of all of these financial terms, lines of credit. I know what all those are, but I remember being in my late 20s, and I didn't know what these terms were. I didn't even know what I thought just credit cards bad, and sure, they are bad for some people and they are good for some others. So it's nice to hear like the pros and cons from everybody's point of views, because what works for some may work for others, or it may not work for others. Like you don't know unless you try it out. So I love that we're talking about this because this is going to lead us into going forward. What we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about other empowering and inspirational subjects, but this is going to be our key focus, which is great because it aligns with both of our goals and with many of our audience's goals going into 2023. So yes, girl. Yes, queen. Let's do this.
Let's do this. I'm excited for 2023. So much to look forward to. And I'm like I feel like I could breathe like a sigh of relief. Like I'm okay. Like, before we did this podcast, I was reflecting on our 2022 and I'm like, I was thinking negatively at one point. I was thinking like, oh man, 2022 sucks. There was like so much that happened and so bad. But then I was like, well, hold on, just wait a second. That actually helped me. It helped me. It helped me grow. It helped me see life and how beautiful life can be. And, the whole circle of life. And I don't know. I feel comforted knowing that I was able, or I got to see the different ebbs and flows of life, in 2022. So yeah, peace out 2022. I'm so happy to see 2023 because I've got goals, I've got things to do. I'm moving forward and I'm running, I'm running towards that prize.
Yes. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this podcast. But before we go, we would love to, like January said in the beginning, we want you to be more interactive. We'd love for you to be more interactive. And the question to you is, one, what is your goals for 2023? And two, is there any financial questions or subjects that you would like us to talk more about or bring on guests to talk about? So please leave it in the comments of this post or the YouTube channel, Sexy Freedom Media. And also you can email us at SexyFreedomNow if you have any comments or any reviews that you want to privately send to us, or you can leave them on iTunes. We thank you so much. Again, check out the link below. You can catch January. You can catch me. You can just reach out to us anytime. January, any last notes or words?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, VIP Finance Builders. Please add me. You can also find me on LinkedIn, January Liddell. I'm pretty accessible. If you Google my name, you'll find me. So January Liddell. Feel free to call me, text me. all of the above, message me and I'll be there. I think one of the things, Helen, that you said was integrity. You were talking about integrity and how, you got to follow through with your word. That's, I think, one of Cardone's, things to do, right? So yes, integrity is vital for me. So yes, I'm there. I'm here for you. So please find me, VIP Finance Followers. Aloha. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yes. And if you share this podcast on Instagram, tag us and we will reshare it on ours. Go get my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, available on Amazon and Audible, and check the link for our January programs for 2023. Thank you so much. Ahia, muchas gracias, and thanks for listening. Bye now.
Want to hear more?
Visit us at SexyFreedomMedia.com.